camera's a little glitchy. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us for Mad Scientist today. I'm going to bring this close-up camera a little bit closer. There we go. Not bad, not bad. Okay. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Today, we will be making bath bombs. So these are something that you can buy in the store normally, but they're actually really easy to make. They only require a couple ingredients, and we've talked about this on Mad Scientist before. And we're going to be, so bath bombs, when you put them in water, they're colorful, which is always fun. And the way we get color is with food coloring, which I'm trying to open right now. They are fizzy, and that fizz, like we've talked about before, is carbon dioxide. And you make carbon dioxide with baking soda and citric acid. So all you have to do is combine citric acid and baking soda. In fact, and then when you mix it with water, just to demonstrate this, I'm going to just grab, I'll get a clear glass. Okay. So, baking soda and vinegar is the one you're all probably really used to. So baking soda and vinegar. So baking soda is a base. Vinegar is an acid. So when we combine the two, it creates carbon dioxide. So here's our test, right? So this is just baking soda. And then instead of vinegar, we're going to be using, which is an acid, we're going to be using citric acid, which is also an acid. So once that's kind of stirred up a little bit, and we add a little bit of citric acid, woo, it bubbles. So that's the fizz that we see in our bath bomb. So when we put our bath bomb in the bath water, this is going to be happening. It's going to create that sound. And actually, now that I say sound, I'm going to move my microphone a little closer as well, because I'm just remembering now that we've got a little bit of a change up. I'm just going to put that right there so it picks up a little bit better maybe. There we go. Hopefully you can hear me a little bit clearer from here now. I've moved a little closer. Okay, so this is what happens when we combine an acid and a base. It creates carbon dioxide. That's what those little tiny bubbles are. So what we're going to be doing is we want to do this without the water. So we're going to combine carbon dioxide. Sorry, not carbon dioxide. We're going to combine baking soda, citric acid. Then we're going to add a little bit of cornstarch to give it something that we can like kind of crunch on and pack it together with. And then we're going to add a little bit of oil. Now, I only have canola oil, which is a cooking oil. But if you have it, I really recommend using coconut oil. And the reason I recommend that is coconut oil is solid at room temperature and liquid when it warms up. So in bath water, it'll melt to a liquid. But when you're just storing them at room temperature, it'll help it stay solid and help it keep its shape. Unlike this guy, this is a liquid oil at room temperature. So it's not going to help with the cohesiveness or the sticky togetherness of our bath bombs. In addition to these things, you can add, I'm going to add some eucalyptus essential oils for the smell, because it smells really good when this gets in water. And then you can also add things that are maybe good for your skin. You can add vitamin E oil or other moisturizers and stuff like that into your bath bomb so that it then goes into your bath water. You can also add fun little, if you're making this for a younger sibling or something like that, you can always add toys. Or if just gifts to your friends or, anything. So, and I think I forgot to mention this, but if you are from the middle school, if you could please type your name in chat. That way I know who's watching. Also, feel free to ask any questions at any time. Please interrupt me. I can see the chat from here. So I'll be able to answer your questions right away. So we're going to start off with, we're going to try to get equal parts baking soda and citric acid. So I'm going to do, I'm going to make a couple, I think. So I'm going to do 2 heaping tablespoons. Or sorry, heaping teaspoons. This is closer to a teaspoon. So 2 heaping teaspoons of baking soda. And then the same amount of citric acid. Now this won't be perfect because this is sodium bicarbonate, meaning there's 2 carbonates. And the citric acid is only going to react with one of them. So we're actually going to be left behind with extra base. But that's okay because base is actually kind of good for your skin. It makes it all smooth. Soaps are made from a really basic solution. And that's how, and you combine it with oils in order to make soap. But that's not what we're doing here today. Okay, so, and then I'm probably going to add, well, I'm going to see what it's like with 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. If I feel like that's not enough, I'm going to add another 2 so that we have equal parts cornstarch as we do everything else. So we're going to start off with 2, though. And then we're going to just really mix this together. So we're just going to stir this until it's all consistent. It's all mixed together. Really well mixed. And it might take a couple seconds to really make sure everything's, if you want to get in there with your hands and mix it around, so you can feel any kind of lumps or anything like that. So really just like mix it up really well. And it feels cold. I don't know why that is. I'm trying to think if anything here is an endothermic reaction. And actually, I believe baking soda and citric acid is endothermic. So we're getting a tiny little bit of reaction here just from the moisture in the air, not enough to make any bubbles or sounds or anything like that. But I think it is just barely reacting, enough to make it feel cold, just a smidge. Okay, so once we have this, and I'm happy with this consistency for now, we are going to add our color, and we're going to add our essential oil. So we don't want too much color because this is water-based. And I'm going to make green. Green sounds like a good bathtub color. I'm going to add maybe 2 drops. We'll do 3 drops. And then we're just going to, because, and I don't know if you can see it, but because there's water in here, it's actually bubbling up just a smidge, which is kind of crazy. But we're just going to mix this in and hope that it spreads some color. Normally, I think it works a little bit better. In fact, this isn't really doing much at all. It will once, you know what? Okay, so I learned something today, which is always important. You should always learn one new thing every day. So this, what happened was it created that kind of coating of bubbles around the green. So because of that, it created basically just droplets that turned hard because all the water got absorbed. So what we're going to do is we're going to add quite a few more drops, let them bubble up, and then just mix them in and they kind of turn into this solid thing that you can break up. So right now you can see these like little dots. Maybe you can't see them. I'll like grab one out from here. So there's like one big lump, right? So these lumps we're just going to break up as best we can, coat them, and then once they're all coated, even if it looks white right now, when it gets into the tub, it will react with the water in there, and it will turn the tub green, which is almost cooler because it's gonna look like it's doing nothing, and then all of a sudden it's gonna do something. Okay. Yeah. So once that's done, I'm now gonna add 3 or 4 drops of our essential oils. These shouldn't have any water in it, so you shouldn't see any bubbles. And it's actually a way you can test to see how if your essential oils really are just oil. Because if it's not just oil, if you see bubbles, that means there's water in it. And usually they'll water down these oils if it's one of those cheaper brands. So you can test your oil that way, your essential oils. If it bubbles, you might have some water mixed in there. It could also just happen with time. Sometimes things become hydrated over time, meaning they get water inside of them. Okay, so now is the oil section of this. Because right now, like if I were to squeeze this together, it just stays as a powder. So we're going to add a little bit of oil, 1 tablespoon at a time. Sorry, teaspoon at a time, because that's what we're using. 1 teaspoon at a time. And we're just going to mix this in until we have like a good even coating. So there's 1 teaspoon, and I'm just going to stir and stir and stir until it looks like nothing else is changing. You can see it's starting to clump together a little bit more with that oil, which is good. That's exactly what we wanted. So 1 wasn't enough, and this is, I'm going to be completely honest with you, and this is true with all of my cooking, but when I'm learning something new, like a new recipe, I will look at 3 or 4 different recipes, get an ingredients list from that, and then experiment until I find a flavor that I like from all of those ingredients lists. So what we're doing here is very similar. We're experimenting. I looked up a couple recipes, and they all had different levels of stuff, whether it was citric acid or baking soda or oil or all these, or the cornstarch. So they all had different amounts of stuff. So I thought, you know what? Why don't we turn this into an experiment? I'm not going to look at follow a recipe. I know what we need to add. But I don't know. I'm going to just find out what works best for me. So that's what we're doing right now. And that's why we're adding 1 tablespoon at a time. That's why I said maybe I'll need more cornstarch later. But you can see it's starting to get these like little balls of stuff in here. And that's good. So I think I'm going to add maybe 1 more tablespoon or teaspoon. I keep doing that. 1 more teaspoon. Oh, that's kind of an overflowing teaspoon, but that's okay. We're going to really mix this in. And I think this is going to do it. This is going to provide me with a container. You can see that green is starting to come out a little bit, which is nice to see too. So with coconut oil, because it's a solid at room temperature, if you're using coconut oil, I recommend you liquefy it a little bit. Just warm it up in the microwave for a few, like maybe 30 seconds to start. That way it's more of a liquid that you can pour in and combine, but it's not going to be just a solid chunk that you're mixing into this. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a small paper cup. You can use anything you want, really. And I'm just going to put about half of this in here and then really pack it down, first with the spoon and then with my hands. And I'm just going to try to get as much packed down. And really, we're only like up to here. Like maybe only a quarter of the actual thing. And in fact, I don't need all this. What am I thinking? I'm just going to tear this down to the level that I actually need it at, so I can crunch it down better. Science. And like I said, every week, if you're not making a mess, are you really doing science? Okay. I wish you could smell this because it smells delicious. It's got that eucalyptus smell, which I just love. Bam! Just like that, we have our bath bomb. So these, if you're not using coconut oil, you'll need to let this sit for maybe upwards of even a week. You want it to dry out. There's a little bit of water, liquid water in the oils, in most oils, usually small amounts though. And in the food coloring way, add a little bit of water. So you just want this to kind of solidify, not just dry out, but solidify. And then that way, when you're done, you will have a completed solid bath bomb that you can take. If you want to take 2 spoons and try to do like the cupping thing to make smaller bath bombs, that's an option. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make a round bath bomb like you see in the stores, just with my hands. I don't know how well this is going to work. This is what I want to try to attempt. And it's kind of holding its shape. Like, it's not too bad. But let's see. Scrape the rest of that in there and try to really pack it in. So I'm not quite getting, I can't like roll it like a snowball, but I can kind of squeeze it into place. And it's taken an all right form. So now what I want to do, I want to test this because I've made these with kids probably 6 or 7 times. Never once actually tested one of them. So that's what we're going to do today. Because I like testing my stuff. Woo! All right, I'm going to go get a really big bowl and fill it with really hot water. Okay, here it comes. All right, so this one's not perfect because it's we haven't given it that time to solidify, and I'm going to grab something else to prop up the camera so you can see down into it with the close-up cam. All right, there we go. All right, sweet. So now, bath bomb number 1. Yeah, look at that. And there's that green coming through. And it smells good from the eucalyptus we added. Wow. I'm going to reach in here and grab it, see how we're doing. Oh, it's like, oh, wow. It's got little chunks. It's like going piece by piece. Oh, that's so cool. It feels a little oily. And you can see that there's kind of some oil right on top here, but it's not too bad. It's not like crazy slimy oily, like if you just were to get oil on your hands. Let me see if I can pick up some of this oil. It's like a very small amount of oil. If you can see that. It might be too hard to see. So there we go. One. So the tighter these are packed together, the longer they'll take to dissolve. So this one went pretty quickly. And the harder, like I said, the harder they are packed together. Oh, it turned it all green. Oh, that's so cool. I'm so happy we did that. That worked so much better than I ever expected them to. I mean, I knew the science behind why it would work, but I've never seen it actually work. And it just does. So, because I had so much fun, and because we had so much time left, I think I just want to make another one. Okay, so we're going to let that go. I need a new cup. I think that's it, yeah? Yeah, I need a new cup. Just checking on our battery life. Ah! Okay. There we go. I'm going to try this with less oil because I don't like how oily it is on the surface of that. So let's see if we can make this with less oil this time. All right. Because we're good scientists, we're just going to jump. Okay, I'm joking. That's a bad science move. I'm thinking maybe less stuff, more cornstarch. Because I saw how fast that reacted, and I want it to react slower than that. So we're going to do one of those. And actually, ooh, here's a great test. We're going to add some citric acid to our water, and we're going to add some baking soda to our water. If one bubbles and the other doesn't, then we know which one it had more of. So I'm going to start with citric acid because I think this is what there should need to bubble more. I think we have excess baking soda. I'm right. So it bubbles when we add the citric acid, and it should not bubble when we add the baking soda. Once all that citric acid's done, I'll wait for that. You know what? It's bubbling from both. Well, now I'm confused. Why would that happen? Oh, I know why this happens. So this is happening because when baking soda and citric acid combine, they create sodium acetate. So sodium acetate is a third product. It's the new thing that it makes. So it makes carbon dioxide, but it also makes sodium acetate. And sodium acetate can react with citric acid to bubble. And since I just added some of the citric acid, it can also react. That extra citric acid will react with the extra baking soda. I believe it's what's happening there. So either way, it did. They both reacted. So we're going to keep the ratios the same: 1 scoop to 1 scoop. And now I think what we're going to do is with that. Now we're going to have 4 scoops of cornstarch. Maybe 4 is a little much. It seems like a lot. What do you think? Maybe we'll do 3 since we reduced the amount. Yeah, we'll do 3. And then I don't want to see red. I mean, do you have a preference? I'm thinking red. Blue is like okay, but your water's maybe already looking a little blue. I think we want to do red. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It seems like a good number. Okay. And we'll do our oil drops here because all of this needs mixed together before we add the oil. And like those 3 or 4 drops that I did last time seem to do the job well. So we're just going to mix this up, crunch up all those like little pockets of red food coloring. Make sure we scraping everything off the bottom. Really just mix this up. And since I added everything all at once, I'm going to give this a couple extra minutes of mixing just to make sure that, hey, we really have all of our stuff mixed together well. Still got a little smudge of green in here. That's okay. You can see it on the side of my bowl. Smudge of green. Well, I don't really see the red drops, but I assume they're in there. And mixed up fairly well. I'm seeing them every now and then. I bet they'll come out once we start adding the oil. Okay, so we did, I believe it was 3 teaspoons of oil. Let's try it with 1 and really give it a good squeeze to see if that'll work. If not, we'll go to 2. So remember, I'm trying to reduce the amount of oil that we use. So we're going to try with 1. I'm going to try to really mix this up, get everybody coated with oil. Yeah, that red's starting to come out a little bit. I don't think 1 is going to be enough. I'm willing to try. In fact, actually, let me scrape this off and then stir that in first. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Yeah. All right, let's see how this goes. Oh, I definitely feel clumps. I wonder if that's the clumps of the food dye or clumps of oil. I'm thinking it's clumps of oil. Yeah, this does not. It's just a powder still. All right. Well, now we know. We need at least 1 more drop. Let's see if we can get, or 1 more teaspoon. Man, that is hard for me today. I think that this 1 more is going to do it. It's looking pretty sticky. I'm going to try to break up all those clumps as best as I can. Not too much powder left. Maybe some. We can just squeegee this off, though. Scrape it right back into that. There we go. Okay. You know, we're close. It kind of holds a shape, but it's also really crumbly. You know, I think 3 is our magic number then. Yeah, there we go. That's way overboard. Man, I should have been doing this with my closed lab coat, because right now I'm getting all kinds of stuff in my lab. Oh yeah, this is no doubt that 3 is enough. Do you think we should add the red one right to the green tub, or should we get a new thing so we can see it? I kind of want to see if it makes purpley brown. Okay. Oh, I'm very confident in this. And you can see it, like that color really came through on that last one. It's all red, pink now. And maybe that's a clue that we can look for, right? Is it's not quite there until the color really comes through on its own. So first off, we're going to pack this into here, and then with whatever's left over, in fact, I'm going to do that same thing where I tear the cup down. It made it a lot easier to press. Okay, so we'll let that one go. We're going to let this sit for probably a week or more. And then this, we're going to pack into a little ball. definitely make sure your table, like if you have a tablecloth you can use, that's going to help a lot on this project. Or maybe do it outside where you can hose things down, because it is a little messy. Just be ready to clean it up. It's not a hard cleanup. It'll just take some wet paper towels, but just something to keep in mind. Okay, I think we're just going to do it right into the same one. Okay, so there's that. A little hand ball. And then, well, actually, this is a bad angle. So I'm going to try to crunch a little bit more, and I'm going to try to get you a better angle. How did we do this last time? It just kind of worked last time. That's not bad. It's a little crooked. Okay, I'm going to try give this a couple more squeezes, see if we can get this any tighter packed. Because remember, the tighter packed this is, the longer it'll last. All right, so here we go. It's definitely smaller than the last one. So that carbon dioxide is being released by the combination of the baking soda and the citric acid, both of which are powders. Citric acid you can find in any, oh, it's definitely turning into that brown color. That red's coming through. It definitely, so citric acid is found in like fruits. Citrus is what it's referring to there. That looks super cool. It's turning that purpley now. Like something from Yellowstone. Ah! There, you can see my upside down computer. And it's turned this like grayish, gross brown color, because that's what happens when you mix green and red. Okay. Well, there we go. All kinds of bubbly, all kinds of messy. So, citric acid, we'll go over this again. Citric acid and baking soda, when you combine them, they make bubbles. And they get all and those bubbles are carbon dioxide. But, like almost all chemistry, it needs to happen inside water. So, they won't react until there's water around. And then once water's around, then you're able to have that chemical reaction happen. And once that chemical reaction happens, that's when that carbon dioxide gets produced. The reason we added cornstarch was to give it a little bit more bulky appearance. And I see your message, Tootie. But it was too far away. Okay. The table will bubble. Oh, the table. Oh, you know what? That's a great point. All right, you ready to see a bubbling table? How many people? Oh, see, our red one's still going. Because we packed it so much tighter. It's only like maybe 2/3 of the way done. And it's still going. Okay. The table will bubble. Okay. So you ready? Can you see the table? You gotta find the place where they were all mixed together. Oh, there we go. It's happening over here. Looks like I got my messes fairly... Okay, there's a small amount. Looks like my messes are kind of divided here. But if I were to mix them together, let's see if we can get something happening from that. There we go. Let's see if my paper towel will double it. You can't see it, but you can hear it. Maybe if I hold it right up next to the microphone. Can you hear the crackling? That's from us cleaning up the table. Because chemistry happens when things get wet. And that's true for almost all chemistry. There's very little chemistry that doesn't happen in an aqueous or water solution. So, if you have more ideas of what you'd like to see in the future, please let me know. I'm thinking maybe next week we might do bubbles, which is a little scary because I have to figure out how we're going to do that. But I really want to do bubbles since it's getting nice outside. I'll have to think about it. So, if you have any ideas, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. If you have something that you'd like to try or watch me try, I'm happy to try any kind of science stuff. If you are from a middle school, please leave your name or put a comment on the Google Classroom so that we know who's attending. And I think we're going to stop there for today. I hope you all had a wonderful day. And I hope you have a great weekend. This has been Mad Scientists. I hope to see you next week. Bye, everybody.